When Japanese soldiers surrendered in World War II, they braced for death. What they met instead was a plate of food, a blanket, and a rule book. And from Saipan to Camp McCoy, American mercy did what bullets could not. It shattered a warrior code built on fear. They had been taught one lesson since basic training: capture is shame, death is honor. So when the last shells went quiet over Saipan, thin, barefoot soldiers lowered broken rifles and waited for the end. It didn't come. U.S. Marines advanced, rifles steady, no jeers, no cruelty, and did something unthinkable. They handed out water, bread, and cigarettes. A Navy interpreter called out in Japanese, "Cooperate, and you will not be harmed." For many, it was the first fracture in years of propaganda. The enemy wasn't a monster. He followed rules. Aboard a U.S. transport, prisoners expected cages. They found structure, twice daily meals, medical checks, guards who enforced discipline without humiliation. When a storm hit and seasickness spread, Marines passed saltine crackers and towels, small acts that spoke louder than leaflets. The message landed: America fights hard, but not hateful. California's coastline slid into view, green hills, intact towns, grain elevators. For men who came from bombed harbors and ration books, the drive inland looked surreal. Farms humming, children waving from porches. Destination: Camp McCoy, Wisconsin, one of hundreds of Geneva-compliant POW camps across 46 states. Barbed wire, towers, wooden barracks, yes, but also process, paperwork, medical intake, hot water, and lights. This was not vengeance. This was policy. The bell rang. The smell hit first: stew, potatoes, fresh bread, coffee. In a long hall under bare bulbs, American cooks served equal portions across the counter. A private lifted the spoon, tasted, and cried quietly. Not from pain, from confusion. After the meal, an interpreter read the rules. You are prisoners of war under the protection of the Geneva Convention. You will work, you will eat, you will live, you will live. This was America's first hook, law over rage, delivered one tray at a time. Mornings began with roll call and work assignments, sweeping barracks, unloading trucks, felling timber, or farm details under guard. Pay came as canteen tokens, enough for soap, stationery, sometimes chocolate. Guards kept order, firm, not cruel. A medic wrapped a bandage with the same care he gave an American GI. A chaplain visited, not to convert, but to check welfare. The contradiction stung. We were taught mercy is weakness. Here it looked a lot like strength. At night, swing music drifted from the guardhouse. Prisoners wrote Red Cross letters. I am alive. I am in America. They treat us fairly. For many families in Osaka or Tokyo, those lines would be the first proof of survival. And the canteen. It sold ice cream in summer and coffee year-round. Luxuries long vanished at home. America's second hook: abundance that didn't gloat. It simply was. Here's the fact behind the feeling. Even while arming 12 million service members, the United States fed prisoners well, followed the Geneva Convention, and kept the shelves stocked. Liberty ships, assembly lines, tractors, canning plants, industrial democracy running at full power. America didn't just win with tanks. It won with order, logistics, and the confidence to show mercy, because only the strong can afford it. As Wisconsin turned white, winter coats and wool blankets issued. On Christmas Eve, guards played Silent Night. No speeches, no theatrics, just a quiet reminder that humanity had not gone missing. The mess hall served turkey, mashed potatoes, and canned peaches. A lieutenant stared at his tray and whispered, "The enemy feeds us and still wins every battle." The answer sat steaming in front of him, the power to build while others burn. By summer 1945, headlines spilled from the guardhouse: Hiroshima, Nagasaki, surrender. The camp fell silent. Men who had been trained to die for an empire now faced a different courage, going home alive. An officer announced repatriation. "You will return to Japan." They packed their letters, their tokens, and one memory none could shake: the taste of that first American meal. At the final mess, cooks ladled stew the way they always had. A guard, the same Kansan who'd slipped extra potatoes on day 2, shook a young prisoner's hand. "Good luck." No rhetoric, just respect. The trucks rolled, the gate closed. For many, Camp McCoy no longer looked like a prison. It looked like the first place where the enemy treated them as men. Japan lay shattered, cities leveled, food scarce, families scattered. Some former POWs hid their status, fearing shame. Others told a quieter truth: they fed us like their own. They kept the law. They let us live. Years later, over tea in Tokyo, 2 former prisoners compared memories. One said, "That first meal changed me. I stopped seeing monsters." The other answered, "Behind a fence, that was the first time I felt free." America's greatest weapon wasn't just firepower. It was a nation that could mass-produce mercy, because it mass-produced everything: ships, food, medicine, blankets, even hope. It was industrial strength guided by moral strength, law, logistics, and liberty working together. In camps across the heartland, the United States proved a radical idea. You can defeat an enemy without destroying your own soul. If this story moved you, share it. In the darkest hours, America showed the world that mercy is not weakness. Mercy is mastery. And sometimes the greatest victory is a warm meal across a counter, offered to a former enemy as a fellow human being.